we will pay you $3,000 a month for 12 months, and then we won't pay you anymore. But you will own stock options in our brand new company, and don't worry, you're going to be millionaires. And I'm not embarrassed to say, in front of this room, I cried. I cried that night. Because I went from, I'm going to be a full-time cartoonist, to, I cannot sign this. I cannot sign this. This is my whole, this has given up everything. I mean, now I actually care about this comic, and oh no. And what if I tell them, fuck you, I'm not signing this? And they're like, well, we own it. And you never signed that contract, and we own PvP. And I'm like, oh no, what do I do? I gotta call Mike Huddle. Jerry. Mike, Jerry, did you see this contract? Yeah, it's pretty cool. No, don't sign it. Do you know what it means? It means they own your comic and they own your website. Yeah, but we talked to them and they said that it's just the website. They don't want the comic. They don't want to make t-shirts or anything. I'm like, no, don't trust them. You don't want to sign it. And they're like, really? And I'm like, yeah, talk to your dad or show it to your dad or someone you trust. I don't think you want, I know, I'm such a pussy. Show it to your papa. I'm sorry I got along with my parents. Sorry, my dad is not being an asshole like your dad. There's one guy in the back going, but I'm like, don't sign it. And I'm like, oh, thanks for calling. I'm like, all right, well, you talk to your guys. And Mike's like, Mike and Jerry's like, yeah, I think I know someone I can show it to. I go, all right, well, I'm going to show it to my dad. He says he can show it to a guy who knows this lore. And you show him your, and then we'll meet back, but don't talk to Will, and we'll figure out maybe it's not bad. We just don't understand it. I'm like, yeah. 5 minutes later, hello? God damn it, Kurtz! And it's Will Bryant. Don't you talk to the Penny Arcade guys, and you don't realize it, but you're under NDA, and don't you... what happened is they're like, Scott's pressuring this. Scott wants us not to sign it. And he's yelling at me, I will sue your ass. That is, you're under NDA, and you agreed. Do you know what NDA means? And I'm like, no, I know I signed it, but I don't know what it means. Where's my dad? I don't know. What's happening? And he's screaming at me like, don't pressure them, don't harass them, you're not allowed to discuss the details of your contract with them. And I'm like, oh, shit, they betrayed me. I sat on the floor and cried with them. Oh, I didn't tell you I cried that night on the floor. Shit. Discussing how it would be us in the future. And they betrayed me, they're not my friends. And oh, shit, no. Now it's all falling apart, and I don't even have my friends. And so that was it. They didn't talk to me anymore. And I'm like, I said to Will, you know what, Will? Fuck you and fuck your contract. And I'm not signing this. And this is ridiculous. Don't talk to me this way. And I hung up the phone. And then I went and I threw up. Yeah, one guy's back like, yeah. But I mean, you have to understand, guys, I was devastated because this has been 2 years now I've been working at this, like going to work all day, coming home, the wife's like, I'm going to bed. I'm like, I know, I'm working on my comics, I gotta make this happen. And I went in like a 3-hour span from, I get to quit my day job to, I'm possibly being sued, this guy wants to steal my comic, now I gotta figure out what to do with my comic. What if he says he owns it? My friends just stabbed me in the back, and what am I gonna do? So, we all know what happens, right? They signed it. They signed it. And guess what that company turned out to be? eFront. Yeah. Some of you know who that was. So it was this company that was just, now they owned it. They owned Penny Arcade outright. And it was like, I mean, they could do anything. They could fire Mike and Jerry off of it and have someone else write it. And it turned up later that some IRC logs got leaked from Will Bryant and the guy running eFront. They're like, well, we'll have this guy pressure them, and we'll have those guys, and we'll just fire Mike and Jerry. If they won't draw a script, we'll get someone else to draw it. I mean, it was bad. They were bad. And I'm like, you know what? Good. Fuck them. Because I own my shit. And I told Will Bryant, I want my numbers. And I found out I have 1 million page views. And I went to UGO, and UGO's like, we'll pay you $3 for every 1,000 pages. We'll give you guaranteed $3 CPM, and you can own it, and we'll host you, and here's your $3,000 a month. And so I get to be a full-time cartoonist, and my dream did come true, and I was with UGO. And Mike and Jerry were embroiled in this eFront shit. And I'm like, yeah, I win. I'm smart. I figured it out. So anyway, now I'm at the con. somewhere between that and now, I don't know. He is my coup. Robert Coup is my coup. He's your coup. He was inside you all along. I know that sounds gross. No, seriously, you all have eaten microchips. They're in your badges. He knows what you were doing today. No. But no, so a lot of, the reason why I told this story is a lot of people have always wondered about the rivalry. The rivalry between me and Penny Arcade was very real for a while because of all that E-front tension. And those of you that know me know that I like to start shit. And so I was not bitter or pissy publicly about that whole thing at all. Which is not true. I was very much pissy in public. But then this amazing thing happened. We all grew up. We got older and got married and had families, and everything worked out for everybody. I mean, they were doing great, and I was doing great. And Mike calls me up one day and he says, "Why do we fight all the time?" And I'm like, "This is when we got to a big fight, and there was like a back and forth strip." And listen. When someone's going to hurl an insult at you, you do not want it to be Jerry Holkins. That man knows too many words. And even with the shit words you know, he will destroy you. He said, I'll never, I know he doesn't mean it now or feel it now, but he said that PvP was the equivalent to a hobo pissing on a wall. That's what I did. And I read it and I was like, and you know, when your wife comes home and you're at the computer and she goes, "What?" You know he got you. He got you good. I'm like, "I'm pissing on a wall." I does put my heart into it. I'm pissing on a wall. And she was like, "Jerry!" But no, this is a great story. It's real short. So I called Mike and we're talking and I'm like, "Why are we always fighting?" He goes, "I don't know. I don't see a point to it anymore." And I said, "Well, we gotta get past this." And he goes, "Well, let's just be honest." And I go, "All right, let's be honest." And he goes, "Okay." And I said, "I think your art's awesome, but I don't fucking get your strip. I don't play video games. I don't give a shit." And he goes, "Yeah, I love your art, but I don't give a shit about your touchy-feely shit, and I think your fart jokes are stupid." And then I go, "Yeah." And he goes, "Yeah." And I go, "Your art's getting amazing." And he goes, "So is yours." And it was once we admitted that we didn't really, get each other's stuff 100% at the time. This was 2004. I pulled that number out of my ass. I don't even know what date it was. But once we got past that, suddenly we were friends. And we decided, but let's not tell anyone. It's really important we don't, and I remember Jerry was very specific, like it's very important no one knows we're friends. Maybe he was worried about their cred. But we kept that going. We kept that fake rivalry going for quite a while, until it was just kind of impossible to do it. But the only thing worse than when Jerry insults you and you're having a real rivalry is when he's doing it, it's a fake rivalry. Because I'm like, I do a strip and I call Mike and I go, "Eh?" And Mike goes, "Oh yeah, awesome. Wait till you see ours." And then I read it and I go, "Oh."